The Anatolian sun beat down like a hammer on bronze when Klaus Schmidt first crested the limestone ridge in 1994. Below him stretched the barren, tan expanse of the Heron Plain. But here, on this unassuming hill locals called Göbekli Tepe, Potbelly Hill, something unnatural caught his trained eye. Not the scattered limestone slabs dismissed as medieval graves by earlier archaeologists, but the deliberate geometry beneath them. As his fingers brushed dust from a stone edge, Schmidt felt the hair rise on his neck. These weren't grave markers. They were the tips of buried giants. Only man could have created something like this, he whispered, a realization crackling with implications that would soon shatter humanity's origin story. What he'd stumbled upon wasn't just ancient, it was impossible. Built by hunter-gatherers over 11,000 years ago, 6,000 years before Stonehenge, this complex of massive T-shaped pillars carved with eerie beast predated pottery, writing, even settled farming. It shouldn't exist. And yet, beneath this belly of earth lay what Schmidt would boldly declare, the first human-built holy place. Schmidt, a German archaeologist with the tenacity of a bloodhound, returned in 1995. As picks and brushes bit into the sun-baked soil, monstrous forms emerged. Limestone pillars, some towering 5.5 meters, 18 feet, and weighing 10 tons, arranged in vast, enigmatic circles. Each megalith was a masterpiece. Abstract symbols and hyper-realistic reliefs coiled around the stone. Lions frozen mid-prowl, foxes slinking with predatory grace, scorpions poised to strike, and vultures with wings outstretched as if descending upon the void. The sophistication was staggering. These weren't crude markers, they were monolithic canvases, testaments to a symbolic world far older than anyone dreamed. Schmidt stood amidst these silent sentinels, gazing across what was once a Neolithic paradise. This area was like a paradise, he mused, envisioning a landscape teeming with wild gazelle, boar, and sheep, dense with pistachio and almond trees, and carpeted with wild cereals like einkorn wheat and barley. But where were the hearths, the houses, the trash pits of a settlement? Schmidt found only flint blades, stone hammers, and the bones of butchered wild game. Over 100,000 fragments dominated by gazelle. The evidence screamed hunter-gatherers. How could nomads orchestrate this? The scale defied belief. Using only flint tools, these prehistoric people had quarried soft limestone from the plateau itself, shaped colossal pillars with uncanny precision, and hauled them hundreds of yards uphill. Ground-penetrating radar soon revealed the staggering truth. Göbekli Tepe wasn't just a few circles. Beneath the grass lay at least 20 enclosures, a sprawling, buried cathedral complex spanning 22 acres. Only 10% had been excavated. Each ring followed a hauntingly similar blueprint. Two massive central pillars, abstract human forms with carved belts and loincloths, encircled by slightly smaller, inward-facing stones. Then came the most perplexing act. After generations of use, these communities deliberately buried their monuments under thousands of tons of soil and rubble, filling them meticulously before building anew atop the artificial hill. Why? Was it reverence? Fear? A ritual entombment? Schmidt saw a pilgrimage center, a cathedral on a hill, drawing hunter-gatherers from 160 kilometers away for rituals that bound them together. He proposed a revolutionary idea. First came the temple, then the city. Religion, he argued, wasn't the product of agriculture and settled life. It was the spark that ignited them. The sheer labor required, hundreds of workers needing food and shelter, demanded organization, sowing the seeds for the villages and farming that followed, within centuries at nearby sites like Aşıklıhoyuk, where sheep were first domesticated. As Stanford's Ian Hodder declared, it overturns the whole apple cart. All our theories were wrong. But what gods demanded such devotion? The iconography offered chilling clues. Unlike later fertility-focused cultures, Göbekli Tepe's pillars screamed danger. Lions, snakes, spiders, and scorpions, predators and venomous creatures, dominated the carvings. Most haunting were the vultures. In later Anatolian cultures, vultures were psychopomps, soul carriers to the sky. Were these early people confronting mortality, mastering fears of a world teeming with lethal beasts, or enacting shamanistic rituals tied to the hunt. The central pillars themselves, T-shaped armless giants, likely represented stylized humans, perhaps ancestors or deities. Traces of red ochre pigment suggested they were once painted, vibrant and terrifying against the Anatolian sky. Archaeozoologist Joris Peters, studying the Mountain of Bones, found evidence of mass feasting. Gazelle, aurochs, wild ass, even birds like cranes and ducks. Were these sacrificial offerings consumed in communion within the stone circles? Schmidt speculated darkly. A burial ground or the center of a death cult, where the dead watched over a hunter's dream. The hilltop's sophisticated rainwater harvesting system, channels feeding bedrock cisterns holding 150 cubic meters of water, proved practicality. But the absence of domestic springs and the focus on monumental, non-domestic structures screamed sacred purpose. Schmidt's world's first temple theory captivated the world, but ignited academic warfare. Enter Edward Banning, 2011. Where Schmidt saw purely sacred space, Banning saw nuance. He pointed to the enigmatic level 2-3 structures, smaller, simpler, curvilinear buildings, initially ignored beneath the grandeur of the megalithic rings. These, Banning argued, resembled PP&A domestic structures found elsewhere. Where was the trash? Perhaps middens lay unexcavated. The monumental buildings, he proposed, might be unusually large communal houses or clan halls, blending ritual and daily life. A precocious house society, where sacred and profane weren't yet divided. The discovery of grinding stones, mortars and pestles, hinted at cereal processing, challenging the pure hunter-gatherer narrative. Then came the bombshells. Deep soundings beneath Schmidt's enclosures revealed earlier occupation layers. By 2020, refined stratigraphy showed at least 8 complex phases, not 3. Crucially, the small domestic structures weren't later additions. They were contemporary, with some megalithic circles. In 2025, excavations confirmed living quarters existed. Göbekli Tepe wasn't just a temple on a hill. It was a vibrant village with a ritual heart. The paradigm shifted again, not just a cult center, but a Neolithic laboratory where social complexity, monumental symbolism, and early settlement evolved together. Klaus Schmidt died in 2014, never witnessing the full revolution his site unleashed. Today, under Turkish prehistorian Necmi Karul and the German Archaeological Institute, the dig continues, guarded by a sleek visitor center, testament to its UNESCO World Heritage status, awarded 2018. Each season peels back layers of mystery. Geometric precision astounds modern researchers. Computer modeling reveals the builders used equilateral triangles to align enclosures, stretching ropes to achieve near-perfect form. Chipped stone analysis reveals specialized craftsmen and intricate site formation processes. Chipped stone analysis reveals specialized craftsmen and intricate site formation processes. The Taş-Tepeler Stone Hills project expands, linking Göbekli Tepe to contemporaneous sites like Karahantepe, revealing a cultural network across Upper Mesopotamia. Yet fundamental questions scream into the Anatolian wind. What rituals echoed within the stone circles? Why were the enclosures so deliberately buried? Who exactly were these precocious architects? Did social hierarchy emerge here? How did the iconography, the vultures, the predators, shape their worldview? We're 6,000 years before writing. Trying to pick out symbolism is an exercise in futility, Gary Rolifson, archaeologist. But the stones do whisper. They tell of a cognitive revolution, a society capable of abstract thought, collective action, and profound symbolic expression at the very dawn of the Neolithic. Göbekli Tepe forces us to rewrite our story. Civilization wasn't born in fields of wheat, but in the shadow of carved stone pillars raised towards an unknowable sky by hunter-gatherers who dared to imagine the divine. As the excavations inch forward, the Potbelly Hill guards its deepest secrets, reminding us that humanity's origin is far stranger, more creative, and infinitely more mysterious than we ever dreamed. The world's first cathedral still preaches its silent sermon, 11 millennia after its builders vanished into dust,